Welcome to the winter commencement for the Master of Information and Data Science program at the UC Berkeley School of Information. I want to first welcome the 68 graduates who are here today in person. We are here to celebrate their completion of the MIDS degree. This is a really impressive accomplishment, not only because they've completed a very rigorous and demanding curriculum, but also because a majority of these graduates have done it while working part-time or full-time. Today, we're also celebrating the 64 classmates who also are graduating at the same time in the summer or fall of 2018, but aren't able to join us today. I also want to welcome the iSchool faculty and the staff who are here today to celebrate this accomplishment. They provide the substance and the support structure for this educational experience. We couldn't do it without them. And last but not least, I want to welcome the families and friends of the graduates who have come here from all over the country, indeed all over the world, to celebrate these graduates today. I want to especially thank those of you who are parents, children, spouses, and friends of the graduates for supporting them throughout this degree program. As some of you know, the MIDS degree is new, or relatively new. On the Berkeley scale, it's very new. It was launched in 2014. Today, we're celebrating the largest graduating class to date. So the fall cohort is 75 graduates. This means that including this cohort, to date, we have 512 MIDS alumni. That's a lot of alums. They are located all over the world. They are becoming, so you graduates are becoming part of a very dynamic and fast-growing network of MIDS alumni who are and will continue to be a source of career advice, support, friendship, and hopefully lifelong colleagues. I just also want to mention that we have some people here who have come from a long way. We have graduates here, one from Columbia, two from Zurich, Switzerland, sorry. One from London. Have I missed anybody who came from really far away? Where'd you come from? Where? Canada, that other country. Toronto. We also have guests in the audience who are coming today from Spain, Seattle, San Diego, and other parts of the US. I want to share just a few words about this particular class of graduates. They're currently working in a really wide range of industries and companies. The tech industry is, as always, one of the most popular. We have graduates working at Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, as well as Pinterest, Uber, Bird, and Verizon. Several graduates, interestingly, are also working in the aerospace and aviation business at Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and American Airlines. Others can be found working in pharma and biotech in companies like Genentech, Novo Nordisk, and 23andMe. And still others are working in consulting at Slalom, Oliver Wyman, and LEK Consulting. I think this gives you a sense that data science and data scientists are now everywhere throughout our economy. And we are part of educating this new cadre of people who will be working with the data and helping gain insights into all of the industries, both old and new. Two of our graduates today have earned the Jack Larson Data for Good Fellowship, and I just want to call them out. It's Vicky Foss, who's graduated in 2018 spring, and Divya Sriram from May 2018. The Jack Larson Fellowship is designed to support MIDS students in the pursuit of a career that will allow them to use data science to improve human life and benefit society as a whole. We're very happy to see the two of them complete their MIDS degree today and continue the important work in this area. I also want to acknowledge the hard work and commitment that many of these students have put forth throughout the past several years. We know that juggling work and school is not easy, it's very hard. At least 2 of today's graduates have added a new baby during their time in the program. I don't know if that's one of the voices we're hearing right now. Many of them travel a lot for work, making it even harder to stay in school. One graduate acknowledges that he's dialed into live sessions from 5 different countries throughout his tenure in the program, and that includes the US, China, Canada, Italy, and France. Now that's real dedication. Others have pointed out how their studies have inspired their own family members as well. We have one graduate today whose wife ended up deciding to apply to and was just admitted to the Master of Public Affairs at the Goldman School of Public Policy right here on the Berkeley campus. So congratulations for that. Now I'd like to turn this table over to our MIDS commencement speaker, Amit Bhattacharyya. Say it for me. Bhattacharyya, I'm sorry. Amit is the head of data science at Vox Media, a modern media company focused on connecting with passionate and curious audiences. Amit works across all of Vox's web properties in developing models to better understand audiences, as well as working to deliver innovative product solutions such as personalization and recommendations to the platform. Previously, he's led data science initiatives at both an education technology startup and an advertising agency. He started his career working as a quantitative analyst at various banks and hedge funds in New York City for 12 years. Amit has been teaching in this program, the MIDS program, since 2016. He's enjoyed teaching courses as diverse as the introductory Python class, data storage, and most recently, machine learning. He particularly enjoys bringing real-world examples from his work to the classroom. Amit earned a PhD in physics from Indiana University, and he is a UC Berkeley alumnus, having attended Berkeley and majored in astrophysics and classics, as well as astronomy. And he is a proud and long-suffering Cal football fan. Go Bears. Teaching has always been a passion of his, and having a strong connection to his alma mater has been a dream come true. In his spare time, Amit rides his road bike year-round, going skiing. He goes skiing at the first sign of powder, and he dabbles with machine learning algorithms for fantasy football. He lives in New Rochelle, New York, with his wife and 2 teenage daughters, both of whom have been known to occasionally show up for a MIDS class or 2. With that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Amit.
All right, well, thanks, Anno, for the introduction, and congratulations and welcome to everyone who's here. I heard that last year at the graduation commencement ceremony that the speaker sang a song for you guys. It was like Climb Every Mountain from like The Sound of Music. So I thought I would start by singing Stairway to Heaven for you guys. But, all right, I'm kidding. I'm not going to sing. You don't want to hear me sing. But, it's really like an honor to be here. It's nice to see you guys in person, not in a Zoom meeting. I was super excited that I got invited to speak to you guys. I was hoping it wouldn't be in a Zoom meeting, or for commencement. So it's great to be here. We should just definitely start by welcoming all the graduates and the families and the supporters. You guys all have done a tremendous amount of hard work. So I would honestly give yourselves a round of applause, everybody, We should also acknowledge this is a ton of hard work, like Anno said, over the last however long it's taken you to do this program. You've put in a ton of hard work, and you've probably also been supported by your friends, your family members, and as well as your kids. And you know, it's been great. Like sometimes I'll be like teaching class and people will be dialing in from remote locations. Sometimes somebody's on an exotic vacation. And you see like palm trees waving in the background. But then plenty of times there's like some crying babies in the classroom as well. And it's really nice, you know, because you can see that like all of us are incorporating MIDS into our life in like a very different and innovative way than like, you know, teaching used to be, you know, I don't know, 20 years ago or whatever. So, and in fact, like Anno said, like my kids occasionally pop into the classroom. You know, they'll come and ask me what's for dinner, or they just want to see like who's online. You know, they just want to see what it's all about, and they're just fascinated with the way that this can be like so effective. And I'm also like amazed. Like when I started teaching, I was just like, I don't know if this is going to work, but in fact, it does work, and I love like teaching in this program using the technology that we have. So, you know, what I had in mind to talk to you guys today about is like your data science journey. You're already well along your way on the data science journey. And then also for the supporters here, like what that means. You know, I'm sure everybody has some sense of what data science and what you're doing, but maybe we talk a little bit about it. So we start with what is data science, right? Like I've been working and teaching with data science for a while. I know what it is, but it's not a short explanation. Have you ever tried explaining data science to a friend? Does it take about an hour? So, you know, and at the end, like, you know, after the hour, you know, what does your friend want to know? They're like, so, what do you think of self-driving cars? Or what do you think of the latest Facebook scandal, and what did you have to do with it? Or isn't online targeted advertising like terrible? You know, like, I just bought a pair of shoes. I don't need to know those shoes again. I don't need to see them in my advertising feed. I worked at advertising agencies before, so maybe I'm partly responsible for some of that. But, you know, like all these things aside, like, you know, for the benefit of the people who are here supporting you today, we'll talk a little bit about, for the next hour, about like all the things that like you learned in this program. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to talk for an hour, just like 10, 15 minutes. So let's like touch on some of the parts of the program that you might have been valuable to you. I haven't taught all the courses. I've taught a few, and I've enjoyed all the different ones. So, you know, feel free to cheer loudly if any of these were their favorite part of of the MIDS program. We'll talk about exploratory data analysis. We'll talk about feature engineering. We'll talk about machine learning. And we'll talk about ethics and values. All right, that's good to hear, because that's the longest part of the thing. So just, you know, the people in the MIDS program, of course, have done a ton of exploratory data analysis. Usually it's the thing that you do before you start modeling. Before you go and launch onto a big complex form of analysis or a model, you want to get a sense of what does your data look like? What are you dealing with? Let's take, for example, your choice to enroll in the MIDS program. You probably had to figure out what are all the programs out there? How much do they cost? How long is this going to take? How many hours per week should I be expected to work on this program? Maybe you put it all into a spreadsheet. Maybe you know, that's exploratory data analysis, you know, doing your kind of like basic work. And then, you know, you thought about it very hard. Maybe you created a model. I don't know what you did to decide, but you made a good decision. You came to the Berkeley MIDS program. Moving on from exploratory data analysis, we could talk about feature engineering. What is feature engineering? It's just kind of a fancy word, right? Like feature engineering is just deciding which variables you want to use in your model, whether it's a fancy model or not. So let's say we decided to construct a model like, you know, we're here in Berkeley today and we're deciding whether we should bring a rain jacket with us or not, right? What are the variables like your model might include? You could look at the forecast. You could look at what time of year it is. You could actually look outside to see how if it's raining or foggy. And if maybe you look to know if there's like an epic drought in progress. Luckily for us, this model is really simple. You always take a rain jacket, no matter what the variables are or what your model says. Let's turn to machine learning. You might guess this is my favorite part. In fact, it is. I was drawn initially to data science because of machine learning and some of the mathematical like underpinnings of like all the algorithms and stuff. I'm sure everyone has like a different story of why they think machine learning is cool. But I've been using, you know, these kind of algorithms professionally for a while, and I've come to realize that like machine learning is like only as good as, you know, the data you choose to use and the mindset that you enter into when you're like going to start using machine learning. It's still like a relatively amorphous scientific process to decide what question you're going to ask of your data. Even if your boss comes to you and says like, hey, do this or do that, like it's still not always clear like exactly what your variables should be. What is the thing that you're even trying to predict? And if any of that stuff will actually fit into your model. It's not like you just take all the data that you have and throw it into this magical black box and amazing results come out all the time. In fact, that never happens even once. You can never just like, even by accident, you can't throw into your data into a black box and like nothing ever will come out, right? So one of the things that happens to me, like especially in teaching machine learning, the most common question that I get like through over the semesters and even over the course of the class is like, what's the best model to use? Like, I don't know. But then like the secondary question is like, well, what process should I use to figure out what the best model is? And even to that, there's like not necessarily a right answer. There's lots of different models. Some are good for certain things, some are good for others. And I think you guys have hopefully learned that over the course of the program. But the one thing that I will kind of like point out to you guys is that, like, let's say, where you're working at a company and they're not using any machine learning models, and then you show up and you do something clever and cool, and it shows some improvement of some sort. Like, no one's ever going to say that's bad. Everyone's going to be happy. You're like a genius, right? And then let's say you take another model that's already in production and you make it better. That's also even better, right? No one will ever come to you and say that, a better model is not what we want, right? So, and especially if you're like improving efficiency or there's cost savings or outright like profits for your company, very few people will tell you like that's not a good thing. The thing is, and this is how I answer like what's a good model in machine learning, is like that's not even like necessarily the right question. The way I answer it is that it's up to you to question everything about your model. Why is it going to break? When is it going to break? Like, what assumptions are you making? Like, what happens if those assumptions aren't true? I used to work in the financial industry, right, leading up to the credit crisis. And we had a lot of financial mathematical models that were based on a lot of assumptions. And when those assumptions weren't true anymore, all sorts of bad things started to happen. So I still will tell all of you guys that just, no one is ever, it's really hard to know what's wrong with your model unless you think to question it. You're never people are rarely gonna come up and tell you to look for racial bias in your models. You won't even know to do that unless you think to do that yourself. And basically you wanna do this stuff all in advance. And yes, it slows work down, and yes, it takes more time, but ideally you wanna find out what's wrong with your model before it's on like the front page of the New York Times. So as machine learning like improves and all that kind of stuff, we're probably going to have all sorts of like smart robots entering in our life, right? Right now, you guys are probably subject to some not so smart robots in your life. Their names are Alexa and Siri, and then there's a third one whose name is OK Google. But whenever I think of these robots, I actually think of some short stories by Isaac Asimov. They're called the I, Robot stories. Has anyone ever read this stuff? All right, excellent. All right, so in these stories, which were like written like back like in 1940s, 1950s, well before smart robots actually existed, there were these 3 rules that he had. They were called the 3 laws of robotics. And I'm gonna like read them to you so I don't mess them up. All right, so law number 1, a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being come to harm. That seems pretty reasonable, like you don't want the robots killing us like they do in the Matrix, right? All right, law number 2. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. So that also seems pretty good, you don't want like an evil tyrant taking over the robots and harming everybody. And then the third law is a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. This one seems like the most humanizing because it gives this robot a sense of purpose, a sense of existence, a sense of self. And, so these laws, they seem all very reasonable and a set of like rational set of rules for a robot to live by. In fact, if I read them again, they might not be terrible rules for humans to live by either, but that's an entirely different matter. But, we can imagine But you know what happens in these iRobot stories is basically that the robots are in all these different situations and they proceed to go completely bananas. Then they do all sorts of unexpected things, and even though they're like following these 3 basic rules and it's programmed into the robots, like all sorts of crazy stuff happens. And that's like the interesting part of the stories, is that it shows you that even if you like have written down like a set of rules to like live by or analyze like something like mechanical or automated like a robot, things can still go wrong. And that's probably true of machine learning as well, which is that, you know, we could set ourselves like some rules and we know how our machine algorithms work and we have a sense of what the assumptions are or not. But, you know, in the end, like, you guys are the data scientists. You will have to like use your judgment, and you will have to do more than just follow a set of like the 3 laws of machine learning or robotics or something like that blindly. So where does that leave us? That basically leaves us back to like questioning everything. So please, 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 as you like develop your machine learning models and you're doing this stuff out in the world and the universe, you know, question everything. And you know, honestly, you will like your job better for it, I think. All right, so the last part I'm going to talk about is ethics and values. And it's great that everyone like cheered loudly for that part of the course. I don't teach that course, but I've heard pretty much like more or less universally like that's one of the strengths of the MIDS program. And I'm like really happy to hear that. Basically, like, you know, we're trained to like think carefully about our actions, and we can call it ethics or values. And, you know, like, and I think that like the fact that you guys treat it as one of the, you know, the nice courses or one of the better courses that like rounds out your education in a really amazing way, like that speaks to like how important it is. So I don't want to stand here and tell you like, you know, do no evil, or like, you know, you shouldn't work in certain industries or whatever, you know. But I just thought I would tell like a little story. It's a little story that I made up. But, you know, it might tell you like your future work in perspective. So the story is called The Parable of the Baby and the Puppy. All right, so the way it goes, there's three characters in this parable. There's a self-driving car, and there's a baby, and there's a puppy. But right now, let's like leave the self-driving car out of it. Let's say I'm driving down the street and I encounter like a crazy situation, right? And it's like I'm gonna get into an accident, I slam on the brakes, and I'm either gonna run over the puppy or the baby. And in both cases, it's bad, right? And what do I choose? The point is like humans don't really have the reaction time to choose. Like something happens and, you know, it's an accident, and, you know, you're not really held liable for your decision to either like run over the baby or the puppy, right? Now fast forward to when self-driving cars are driving around. It's very possible that a self-driving car has the reaction time to be able to decide, right? And then if we think about machine learning and how it works, right? Like usually machine learning works by giving the computer a bunch of training examples, and, you know, the computer learns right and wrong from, you know, what it should do and what it shouldn't do, right? That's like kind of like the basics of supervised learning. I bet you there's not very many examples where the computer has to decide between like what 2 items to run over. And so, you know what, I could imagine, and this is just like me speculating into the future, that the thing is like, given that the car has enough reaction time to decide whether it's gonna run over the baby or the puppy, somebody, like a data scientist, will actually have to code into the algorithm which one it should choose. Someone might pick the baby, someone might pick the puppy, and there's probably no right or wrong answer, except when something bad happens, someone will be upset at the choice no matter what. So look, this isn't meant to be like a depressing story, but it's meant to be like a reminder that there's a lot more to data science than just data science. And hopefully this is exactly what you experienced in this program. Hopefully you learned that like you learned a lot of techniques, you learned a lot about Python, you learned a lot about R, statistics, data viz, and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, like as a data scientist, you're like a human that's going to be out there and like making decisions, and, you know, hopefully this program will culminate in like you guys making data science decisions in your professional career. So again, good luck to you guys. Thank you for all your effort and hard work, because that's honestly what keeps us as the faculty coming back and enjoying teaching in this program. And go Bears.
Now you can see why Amit is one of the most popular teachers in the program. Thank you so much. Now I'm really delighted to introduce the mid-student speaker, Alberto Melgoza Paez. Alberto.
I don't know how long I need to be holding on my name tag. I'll just brought it with me, just in case. Hi, everyone. Well, first of all, congratulations. It kind of, yeah, this is a remarkable accomplishment. It sort of feels like at the end of every term, right? It was just so hard at the end, but also so rewarding. And it definitely takes a village. So it is important not to just recognize our own efforts, but the efforts of all of those around us. I personally know that there's no way that I wouldn't have been able to pull this off if it weren't for the efforts and encouragement and support of my incredibly patient wife, my dearest friends, my family, my fellow students, our faculty members, and everyone at the School of Information that works so hard to help us be successful. So to all of you, thank you. I also want to take this moment to give special thanks on behalf of all the mid-student community to our dearest dean, Anno Saxenian. Her leadership and relentless work over the past 5 years are what made this program what it is today. She was instrumental in getting this new online program approved, which was one of the first ones at UC Berkeley at the time. And now, it is a program attended by students literally around the world. So thank you, Dean Anno, for everything you've done to data science around the world. I'm really excited and thankful to be here. Oh, and by the way, this is an online program, so Catherine just told me you can actually attend the ceremony online. You just need to go to ISVC and you'll see the button there for the meeting. If the button doesn't work, let us know and we'll post the link on the Slack channel. As I was thinking about what my message for today ought to be, and I was reflecting on my experience in the program, one thing came to mind that I felt compelled to share today. And that is something that I learned about data science that I didn't expect. When I first enrolled in the program, I understood data science to be, in essence, a technical discipline. After all, it is science, and it is data. And as I went through the program, of course, we learned the mathematical and statistical foundations that machine learning builds on top of, for example. Right? Of course, we learned about Python and TensorFlow and Pandas and Spark and all the tools that data scientists use on a regular basis. But I was surprised to realize how data science is actually a human-centric discipline. And we just need to look at the amazing capstone projects that we had this term to see how this is true. We were able to see how data science can improve people's quality of life, like helping folks with hearing disabilities become aware of their nearby sounds, thanks to their mobile devices recognizing those sounds and sending notifications. We were able to see how data science can help small business owners mitigate online reviews that can unfairly hurt their businesses. We were able to see how data science can make it easier on busy parents cook meals for their children by suggesting recipes that they can make with ingredients they have already in their pantries and their fridges. We were able to see how data science can help two humans that speak completely different languages understand each other in real time. So there is a lot of talk out there on how AI is going to replace a lot of people in a lot of what we do, and how if it left unchecked, we're going to end up with the Terminator. And while there is certainly very important work that needs to happen in the field of ethical AI research and development, work that many of us data scientists will probably be part of, what I saw more clearly during the program is actually the opposite. It was data science being a force for good. All these examples that I mentioned make it apparent how data science is in fact something that allows us to be closer together as human beings. It gives us tools that help us understand each other much better, no matter how different we may be. There is no doubt that data science and data scientists are going to continue to transform every industry in every corner of the world. And I can't wait to see how we can transform the world together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alberto. I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that you took that lesson away from our program. That's one of the things that we care the most about, that people understand that it is not just about tools and techniques, but also about people, and people working with other people and people working with information to help improve the world. So thank you. Now I am delighted to present from MIDS Faculty Awards. So that's the first thing. And we're graduating two different cohorts now, summer 2018 and then fall 2018. So for summer 2018, the award goes to Kevin Crook, the instructor for W205, which is the fundamentals of data engineering. Unfortunately, Kevin wasn't able to be here, but he's been teaching today, but he's been teaching in MIDS since spring 2017. And I want to just thank all the students who voted for him. For fall 2018, I want to extend the award to Alex Hughes. Congratulations. Alex teaches W241, which is experiments and causal inference. He has been a faculty award recipient in 2016 and 2017. We might have to stop this. We have to not allow you to vote for him anymore. And we're delighted that he's also recently taken the role of head graduate advisor for the MIDS program. So congratulations, Alex.
Thanks.
I'm also delighted for the first time, I don't know if this is the first time, but I'm delighted to announce the best TA for the MIDS program, who is Robert Foster. Robert! Robert has been the TA for W200, which is our Python class, for the past 4 terms. He started in spring 2018, and he consistently receives very high marks on course evaluations for providing course support and timely feedback. So congratulations. Now I'm really pleased to announce the Hal R. Varian MIDS Capstone Awards. These are for those projects that Alberto just mentioned. Every year we give usually one for each semester for the best, and it's always difficult. It's always difficult to pick the best capstone because so many of them are so good. Hal Varian, by the way, was the first dean of the School of Information, is now the chief economist at Google, and he generously donated the funds to support these awards. For summer 2018, the award goes to ElectBot AI, Benjamin Addix, Krista Marr, and Prajakta Pandhakar. Is anybody here? Which ones of you are here? I want to say one word. So ElectBot AI is a chatbot that helps inform voters on important issues and candidate stances, as well as remind voters about upcoming elections. ElectBot also had recent partnership with Vote.org over the midterm elections past November. So congratulations to you. And for the fall 2018 semester, the award goes to Parasite ID. This includes Cameron Bell, Vicky Foss, Kirsten Henderson, and Nathaniel Shub. Parasite ID is a tool designed to facilitate diagnosis of parasitic diseases using low-cost cell phone microscopy and automated image analysis. Congratulations to you. One more hand for the Parasite ID. And hopefully, we will see these two projects continue to evolve in the world in the future, even though they're going on to do other things and leaving the MIDS program. Now, the moment that you've all been waiting for, the conferring of the degrees. Before we start, I just want to remind the students when you come up, when your name is read, to pause when you shake my hand so that the photographer can actually take your picture. We have people who come up and are very anxious and move through too fast. So this is the moment we've all been waiting for. I just want to thank again all of the parents and friends and families and siblings and spouses. This is an amazing accomplishment. I really am in awe of these students. I don't know that I could have done this, to actually work full-time and go through a program that is demanding as this. I have tremendous admiration for you, and I really wish you all the very best as you move forward in your careers. Drew Paulin, the academic director for the MIDS program, will come up and read the names of the MIDS graduates.
Omar Al-Tahir. Michael Alexander. Ben Addix. Ramya Balasubramanian. Mark Barnett. Chris J. Beecroft. Cameron Oliver Bell. James Black. Andres Barrero. Robert Yu Deng. Vaibhav Diwan. Jumo Fan. Heather Feinstein. Vicky H. Foss. Robert Foster. Ahmad Gangurdi. Ravneet Guman. Saul Grimaldo. Chad W. Harness. Sean He. Kirsten Henderson. Pradipta Aryo Bascoro Hendry. Alexander J. Herring. Gal Hain. Shelley Sue. David P. Huber. Jason N. Hunsberger. David Jablonski. John R. Kenny Jr. Boris Kletzer. Alex Lau. Joshua J. Lee. Chen Lin Liu. Jensen Louis. Andrew David Mamroth. Krista M. Marr. Alberto Melgoza Paez. Vincenzo Moccia. Nishant Nair. Surya Nimagada. Saad Padella. Prajakta Pandharkar. Sanket Tulsidas Patel. Jayashri Raman. Noah Vaughn Randolph. Jason A. Rosenfeld. Manish Sanat. Nathaniel J. Shub. Manish Shah. Elizabeth A. Shulock. Jonah Smith. Divya Shriram. Simon D. Story. John V. Tabone. Stanimir M. Vichev. Kim Vignola. Jessica Vincent. Daniel Wald. Xiao Wu. Harry Shu. Steve Yang. Yisong Yoon. Todd Young. Congratulations to all of our MIDS graduates.
Those are his notes. I had some notes. These are the wrong ones. They're right here. Congratulations to all of you. I hope that you do well, have fun, and please stay in touch with all of us and with your classmates. I couldn't be prouder of every single one of you. I also want to, before we go out and celebrate at a reception, I want to especially thank the staff of the School of Information for all of the hard work and for doing such a wonderful job setting up the graduation. And now please join me for a drink outside.